Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thrive, Not Just Survive. I'm your host, Nasira Jamal. Excuse the dog in the background. She's actually seeing something moving in the window, and this is what she does. I want to apologize, first of all. Typically, I come on at 10 a.m. sharp on the dot. And today I am about 15 minutes late. And this is what I want to kind of talk about is sometimes things happen. And I had a meeting that actually ran a bit later than expected. And what that means is for us to be prepared that it's okay. Sometimes for people that can really put them in a spin of, oh my gosh, it's like, I don't know what to do. They get frustrated. So what I want people to understand as business people, as entrepreneurs, sometimes things don't always go as planned. So in my case today, it was a 15-minute delay. But in our businesses, things can go up or down, and sometimes it doesn't work out the way we plan, and it's okay. And I want all of you who are listening, whether it's on replay or live, to give yourself grace that it's okay. All right. So today, having said that, we're going to be talking about emotional agility with my wonderful and amazing guest, Sharon Fillmore. And I want to bring her on so that, first of all, we can find out what is emotional agility, and then how do we deal with things from that perspective. So let's bring her on and get this conversation started. Hey, Sharon, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your light with us. Welcome.
Well, good morning, and I'm happy to be here again. It's hard to believe a month has gone by already.
I know, and this is the cool thing, right? Is we do get to connect once a month, and then kind of put everything together in our learnings and stuff. And when we talked about, or when you messaged me saying, let's talk about emotional agility, it was almost like it was divine timing that there was a need for us to talk about this. And I want you to first, before we start, sort of explain to people, what is emotional agility?
Well, you know how you have a million thoughts running through your head, and some of them, they keep coming back, like you almost feel like you're a gerbil on a wheel with this particular thought. And emotional agility is being able to unhook from those thoughts. Okay. So today I want to talk a little bit more about it and about the steps on how to help yourself unhook.
Oh, perfect. So can you, so I guess you're going to walk us through sort of the different things that people would go through, like in terms of if I'm not feeling emotionally agile?
Yes. And we'll talk a little bit about like an example is how many words do you think you say per day?
Well, I've done some research on this. So I would say, or words I say, I'm thinking thoughts, because I know it's 60 to 70 thoughts that potentially go through our mind. Mm-hmm. How many words I say, I would, oh my gosh, 100,000? I don't know.
About 16,000.
Oh, okay. Because I talk a lot.
No, women say a few more than men because, we are a little bit more verbally expressive. However, it's the thoughts that are going through your mind. Those are the ones that we don't speak. And they're usually very often about doubt, their self-criticism, your judgment, those thoughts. And what ends up happening often is in our society, we've been taught to push those thoughts down. Mm-hmm. And we're human. So those thoughts often keep bubbling up. And I want to sort of relate it a little bit to COVID. We've been going through COVID now for about 6 months. And I've noticed what's happening when I'm out and about is sometimes people's emotions are sort of becoming a little bit more to the surface, and I was speaking with some people in retail and also with some people in the grocery industry. And I was asking them, have you noticed any change in people coming in? And they're all saying the same thing. The people are great. They're lining up. They're following all the rules. However, when something is different, like a price isn't correct, or there's a problem with something's not in the computer, that's when it's like they're exploding. And the people behind the cash are saying, like, it's such a little thing, and that's the trigger. So that's an example of our emotions are how we've been suppressing them for 6 months now. They're bubbling up, and they're coming out in ways that most of us don't want them to come out in.
Right. And I guess this is where, that whole idea of not just controlling our emotions, but knowing what's triggering them, right? Like you said, it's the little thing that breaks that camel's back, or, you know, something that's explosive, but what's underlying all of that? Where's that frustration coming from, or the anger, resentment, whatever that feeling is?
Is right. And like we all have we all have a right to our feelings and our emotions. And it's sort of like a human, it's part of the human being, and it's part of being a healthy human being that we have all of these. And we're in our society, we tend to deny it. And our mind's idea is its whole job is to anticipate problems and avoid them. So therefore it's critical, right? It's, you know, our minds are critical thinkers, and it's critical. So one of the, I want to talk a little bit about how we get hooked, because when you get hooked, it feels really like, you know, I'll just give you an example. You know how when you hear a song in your head in the morning and you're still singing it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? It's that's a positive thing. However, a lot of our thoughts aren't so positive. And how we get hooked is, and we suppress them, is by two ways. One is we decide to accept it as a fact. Like, you know, I'm never going to be able to make that much money again. And you accept that as a fact. And that's one way that gets you on the gerbil's wheel running around. Another way is to rationalize it. You know, well, you know what, I have to do this because it's, you know, part of what we have to do. And it's, you know, and that might go against your values and your goals. And if it goes against your core values, then you never feel right about it.
Right.
So it's one of those things that we need to consider. Again, we talked about values the last time, and here we're sort of sliding them in again. The other thing is, when you are focused on one thought, then it sucks your energy and your creativity. And it's very hard to move away from that, to do your job, to focus on what you're doing.
Right.
And have you noticed that in the past when you've had that?
All the time, right? Like if it's a worry, or if it's something where I'm feeling fear, like if I'm afraid of what, oh my God, what's going to happen, then yeah, absolutely. It's almost paralyzing to taking the next step, or even to figure out a solution. Is that when that fear sets in, it's like, oh boy, you know, you can't really move from there. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And research shows that the more you dwell on a thought, the more it amplifies. Like it's sort of like, you know, have you seen Ghostbusters, the original one?
Yes.
You know, at the end, when they think about the marshmallow, and the marshmallow keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that's kind of the same idea. For those of you who haven't seen that, it's a good movie. So, and when this happens at this point, affirmations aren't going to be effective. You know, how we want an affirmation to get rid of this emotion or thought. Well, because we haven't done the work on the emotion or on the thought, the affirmation is not going to be effective. So let's sort out how to do that work so that we can use the affirmation after.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think the underlying, it's like that, you know, peeling back in the onion, right? The first layer might be you might think the affirmation is going to help you, but what's inside of that onion could be the thing that's holding you back. So just by covering it up is not going to help the situation.
It's
right?
not. So to become unhooked and increase your emotional agility, there's 4 steps. Okay. And they're easy. The first one is to recognize it, that this is a repetitive thought or emotion. And the way to recognize it is, number 1, it's rigid and it's repetitive. So like I said, that you know, that gerbil or hamster on a wheel kind of feeling. And it's good to check in emotionally periodically during the day to see whether or not you're having, you know, what kind of thoughts you're having, and if they're repetitive and if they're rigid, if there's any room in there. The second thing is to label it. Now, is it a thought? Is it a feeling? Is it an emotion? Are you angry? Are you jealous? Is it fear? If it's fear, what kind of fear is it? Is it fear because every time you walk by this particular house, a dog comes running out, and you think he's gonna he's terrorizing you, or is it of the unknown, the future, which is happening right now? There's so much uncertainty. And is it guilt? There's a lot of guilt going on around right now as well. People feeling terrible because they know someone that's sick, or someone got sick, or they feel they should be doing more. Right. A lot of people there's a lot of people that want to go out and do more and help more. However, there's that fear holding them back, and it's sort of like a push-pull kind of. And it can be so it's analyzing that and actually labeling that fear. And the third step, and this is probably the hardest step, although you get through this step, it's wonderful, is accepting it. Accept this emotion, this thought, and feel it. Let your body, your mind, let your whole self feel this emotion, feel this thought, and look at it. What kind of environment is it? Is that thought? How are you feeling about it? And how upset are you by it? How much energy is it sucking from you? Is it giving you energy? And if it's giving you energy, is it good quality energy? Right? Or is it nervous energy? And then I want you to notice if it is aligned with your beliefs. Is it aligned with your values? And then the other thing that is very important that we forget is this a signal of something important or something unimportant? Perhaps it's a signal that you need to pay attention to, or perhaps it's a signal that you don't have to worry about. Because as our mind is there to give us signals, correct? Mm-hmm. And then the most important thing about that is be kind to yourself. Be compassionate with yourself, because these emotions might really feel, particularly when you're feeling them, they're very hard. There's that saying, you need to go deep before you can come out. And that's where this acceptance is. It's about, and a part of that is also accepting yourself, because when you accept these emotions, you accept yourself as being human, right, and perfectly imperfect, and that it's okay.
Yeah, and I guess this is where you kind of, when things are going on, especially with COVID and things have been built up, it's almost to take a step back.
It is. And for some people, they'll have to actually almost feel like they're stepping out of their body and looking in, right, so that they can cope with that. And not everyone has that ability. However, it's important to feel those emotions and understand them, because when you sort out, is this an important emotion or an unimportant emotion or feeling or fear, then what ends up happening is you can then analyze it. And then you can take the last step, which is action. And the important things about the action is we think, well, what action are you going to take? Well, maybe the action is understanding that it's a personality conflict and it's okay to have different personalities, and we'll figure out how to work around that. Or maybe it's something that you keep saying or thinking about your spouse, and you inherently know it's not true. However, you just keep, rambling on and on. It's really about the long and the short term. So the action you're going to take is going to help you in the short term. Is it going to be for the long term? And that is it's very important. Is this action for you? And is it going to get to where you want to go? So if your action is, I'm never going to make, or if your thought is, I'm never going to make that much money again, I've just been laid off because of COVID. It's about understanding that is you can set a plan to change that, and that might be a long-term plan. You're constantly angry at someone. Well, analyzing that, you know what, I'm not I'm angry at this person because of these things. Now my action is actually going to be short term because my action is going to be, I understand this is because this person rubs me the wrong way.
Right. And I think that what you're talking about is really for yourself, for oneself, is to obtain that clarity. What is it? Where is it coming from? And what am I going to do about it? And the control that I have personally, because the stuff I can't control is external. Like I can't control that other person if they rub me the wrong way, or if there's something there that we just agree to disagree. But that I can't control because it's external. But what I do have control over is my own ability to analyze or to get clarity, and then to take the actions needed for. So that's what I'm hearing from you, is really the control that we do have is what we have within ourselves.
Exactly. And we let go of that control often because we get stuck in something.
Right.
Stuck in thoughts. So the action is, the most important thing about the action is that it serves you, it's aligned with your values, and that it's going to, because we are very often have relatives, family members, it's about being sure that it's going to serve the people that are going to be affected as well. It's kind of what's like, it's like if you think that you're never going to make that much money again,
right?
You change your thought patterns and understand that thought is not a fact. It's just a thought, that it can be changed, and that affects your whole family, right?
Right. And I guess, I mean, is there, so now that we've kind of gone over the steps of what to do, can you maybe guide us through it, maybe how this could potentially look?
So yes, actually, so what I'd like you to do is think about a recurring thought or something that, keeps bubbling up. It could be anything. So I want you to
the type of meditation where I kind of have to close my eyes and go through it as a process.
For some people, they will have to close their eyes. It's not a meditation, it's an exercise. However, if you put yourself in a meditative state, it's going to come a little bit more easily.
Okay.
So let's actually start with taking a couple of deep breaths then, and we'll just take a couple of deep breaths. 1 and another one. And I want you to think about your thoughts. Which ones are recurring? They're repetitive. They keep coming back. Which thoughts are rigid? They feel like facts. They feel like you're rationalizing. Find one. Do you have one now?
Yep.
Good. Now I want you to label that thought or that emotion. See it as transient. It's simply information that may or may not be helpful. Is this thought or emotion guilt, anger, fear? Is it a missed opportunity? Jealousy, resentment? Is it sadness? Or is it something else? Now, when you have this label and you've labeled this thought or emotion, I want you to open your heart and your open attitude. I want you to experience. I want you to experience it. I want you to feel it in your heart, in your mind, in your body. How does it make you feel? How upset are you by it? Notice the energetic quality. Is it giving you energy? If it is, what type of energy? Or is it taking it away? Is it sucking you dry? Is it a sign? It's something important, something you need to pay attention to? Or is it not important at all? After you've finished feeling these feelings, give yourself a hug. Thank yourself for doing this. Now I want you to think of an action, something in the direction that you want to go into. This action should be in line with your values and your goals. The action can be very small, or it can be something that you'll plan out later. Now, how are you feeling? Do you feel more in control? Do you feel calmer?
Yeah. I think what happened is in an emotion, like in my heart space, it felt like there was more oxygen. There was just that breath of calm. The only thing that kind of tripped me up was when you said label that. So I didn't know if you were saying label it. You said first label it, and then you said all of these emotions. Is it labeling it to that emotion, like saying label it as frustration, label it as fear, or is it a label you bring about whatever comes to you?
It can be labeling at fear or frustration or something else, another label. It's labeling the fear so that you understand it's not a fact and
Right.
it's not something to push down.
Yeah. So that was it. That was the only part where I thought, well, first you said label, and I thought, okay, I'm labeling it, but I don't know what to label with. But then as you mentioned all of those things, of course, the one that kind of resonated came up. So I just think sometimes when people go through this, they may try and overanalyze it as they're going through the steps. And so it's good to kind of just go with the flow and trust in that process.
Exactly.
So that's what came up. But yeah, I definitely felt or feel even there's more calm in my heart. Like I just feel a little bit more rested. Yeah.
And so do you now know that you have
I think you're frozen.
to move it?
You actually repeat that because you froze there for a minute.
Oh, okay. So now do you have an action though? Do you know a step to take?
Yeah, and action came right away. Like as soon as I was able to walk through that process, as soon as you said, now what's that action that you want to take or you can take, then it like the answer almost popped up like, oh, I could just do that. Right. So yeah. Yeah, that was cool.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, it is for right now. We are so full of thoughts and emotions. There's like it's like a rushing river in our brains of thoughts and emotions, and it's really good to be able to take the ones that are the most common and go through this process and just get some control back and some idea of which direction to go into.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think right now it's like an up and down situation, right? You might be feeling great and then something happens and then you're back down again because there's so many uncertain things that are kind of popping up in different ways. So I think it's good to have a strategy to say, okay, now I've learned this, I can actually just take a step back and do these 4 steps and almost find that answer will help you back to that calm again.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's brilliant. I love it. So I hope that those people that are watching were able to kind of take the exercise with us. If not, if they're on replay, to actually go through that. And maybe it might take a couple of times, right? When you're not you're used to it or you're just learning it. And I want people, like you said earlier, is have grace with yourself, have compassion. It's okay. We're not supposed to know all the answers, but maybe if this little exercise can kind of get you from point A to point B a little bit smoother, a little bit faster, it just helps in dealing with the different things that we're all going through.
Exactly. And we are all going through them. Every single one of us on the planet. You're not alone. It's one of the things that we can say about COVID is, you know what? Everybody's going through it. So it's like, we're not alone. We may not like it. It's just, we're not alone.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point you bring about, right? We're in this together. Like, you can see other people, maybe, sometimes social media can be a place where you see, somebody might have the best looking photo up or a video up. It doesn't mean they're not dealing with COVID, right? It's a pandemic, and people are dealing with different emotions. So not to compare where you're at with somebody else's chapter of where they're at, because they may just be at a different place in that day, right, of how they're feeling. And I think this whole idea of emotional agility also comes from not comparing your situation with someone else.
Exactly. Not comparing, and giving people a little bit of grace. If they blow up at you, understand that, you know what, you might do it to somebody else tomorrow.
But not just that, but they're coming from a place. Maybe they've just had really bad news given to them. Maybe something drastic happened. Maybe someone, with COVID, was diagnosed and they were really worried. I think we have to use our emotional intelligence and raise to that occasion to say, they must, nobody just lashes out. There's something going on, and let's be graceful towards each other. Let's have compassion. Like you said, we're going through it together. So I might be having a really bad day. Cut me some grace, obviously, to some limit, because if it's a constant thing where somebody's just hurting you, then you want to back off, right? Because you also want to be a punching bag for somebody. But at least look at it from a point of gracefulness, of saying maybe something is going on that I don't know about.
And maybe I should teach them how to do this.
And maybe just show them, right? There's more in actions than in words. And I find sometimes if we just behave in the way we want to be treated, that just goes a lot further than if you're, beating it down someone's throat.
Exactly.
And sometimes, our own tensions and anger can come out in a way that's not like us generally. So I want to thank you. This is really, I think, great information, a really simple strategy to be able to use daily, as we go through not just COVID, but just things going on.
Just things going on. And it's like, you can check your emotions periodically through the day and know what's going on. And actually, if someone would like me to send them a copy, if they email me, I will definitely send them a copy of the process, how to go through.
So just say your email. I'm going to put it up on the banner just so we know.
Sharon H. Fillmore @gmail.com.
I'm just going to put it up for those that are watching. And sorry, right here. And, reach out and get the information. It doesn't hurt to ask for help. And I think sometimes, we all kind of go and try and find stuff or talk to people and we don't really know what to do. It's nice to be able to go to someone who's done this, who teaches it, who counsels, who coaches, that can actually take you maybe a step further. Is not just doing this, but maybe give you a couple of other things that could help you. So I really want to encourage people to reach out, because you are a wealth of knowledge. You really are in a place of just assisting people with where they're at, and I think that we all need somebody on our side, in our little, playpen, let's call it.
We definitely do need someone in our playpen.
Yeah. And it's nice to know that someone who does the kind of work that you do has a lot of knowledge in terms of subconscious beliefs and where emotions sit and how we can release them. It's a really good way to work with somebody and get the results, find that way of working that's for you, that's best. So I want to thank you with that. This is brilliant. I think it's a very simple strategy, but yet a very effective one. And I want to encourage people to reach out to you. So I'll put your email back up again, just in case somebody missed it. Is there any parting words as we end this session that you would say in terms of just words of wisdom with people going through stuff that they're going through?
More than anything, be kind to yourself, and compassionate with yourself. Understand that Everyone is going through this, and your journey is your journey. It's no one else's. And, you know, we will get to the end of this, and we will all be better. We will all get better.
Yep. Thank you so very much. I'll see you first Thursday of October. Can't wait for that. I know we'll have a great conversation. In the meantime, I just want to, wish you a wonderful fall season. And I just want to thank you. I'm so blessed to have you in my life and that you bring so much to the audience. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay.
And I'll see you in a month.
All right. And you enjoy your fall too.
Thank you. So that was Sharon Fillmore. She always comes with, simple things that we can do to alleviate stress, to find ways of dealing with our own struggles. And if you want some clear help, more help, reach out to her. She's an amazing soul, always willing to help and guide you in the right way that feels right for you. So I do encourage you guys to, if you do just want to have a quick chat with her or send her an email for this exact strategy, she'll be able to send that over to you. So with that being said, her words of wisdom at the end were be kind to yourself. And this is how I end my show. Remember to be kind to yourself and others. It's the most fastest way of raising your vibration and helping not just yourself, but others around you. So with that being said, I will see you tomorrow as we interview with Dr. Cheryl Bryant Bruce, and we're going to be talking about something that's upcoming that's going to be very exciting. So tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'll see you then. Have a great day.